Since the band's inception, all of the members had grown and developed their own unique styles, both in talent and in personality.
Brian was a little bit more shy, but very... He was apparently much more quiet and would listen a lot and, you know, have his own ideas. He changed guitar playing, really. I mean, in my opinion, his guitar, it was like a vocalist. You know, he played some fantastic stuff, and he worked out. He was very, very meticulous. He knew what he wanted. He knew the sound he wanted. He was very sure what he wanted. I've heard him discussing occasionally, do you prefer this sound, Freddie, or not? But he knew what it went, because he wrote a lot of the songs, and they wrote songs together, especially towards the end.
In the touring days, he would spend his life on the road, and I remember there was one time he came home drunk from a Van Halen party, because he was good friends with them. But nobody else went. It was him, and it was a guitar party, you know, that sort of thing. But as I say, now Brian's now more enjoying that. But Brian is still, Brian, I think, out of all of them, was the most serious about his work, his music.
And then John, you know, the bass player. I mean, John is exactly that. A bass player is a solid member of a band, you know. And John is solid, you know. He was a very solid character, charming guy, softly spoken, you know. Nothing fazed John. Straightforward. And you need that, I think, you know. You need that. Somebody in the background, you know, making sure that nothing comes from behind you, you know. It's like a defense from behind, and he provided that. And John always was the one who said to me, "Oh, I'm just the bass player. I'm just so lucky to be in this band," you know, because he didn't feel that his contribution was that great. But in fact, you know, when you look back, I mean, he did a fine job, a brilliant job.
He was the one who always wanted to be able to walk into Tesco, walk into the supermarket, just to go and do shopping and nobody notice him. But the thing is, he's the one that could also come out, because he was quiet, with the biggest surprises. Freddie could never really surprise anybody because you expected the unexpected from him. But then John came out with Another One Bites the Dust. Totally, you know, not something that you would think from John. John, who did Spread Your Wings, You're My Best Friend, that sort of thing. And all of a sudden, Another One Bites the Dust you've got from him. So, well, he gave you the unexpected.
Yes, they're very different. It's just different. They're just different people. Roger was, certainly when we first met, he was apparently the more outgoing person, the more easy person to get to know, and has always stayed that way.
Over the years, Roger was always the party king. When it came to parties in the band, and you know, he would be invited to all the parties, or you know, and he and Brian particularly had friends within the music business, and you know, whenever there was parties going like that, then you would, or Roger would go. He enjoyed himself. You know, it was something he felt he'd earned, you know, the right to go to parties and enjoy himself. And it's true, he had.
In 1987, Freddie began more solo work and released The Great Pretender from his third solo album. Shortly afterwards, and having been introduced to the music of a Spanish soprano singer by Peter Freestone, Freddie was to collaborate with Montserrat Caballé and produce the single Barcelona for the 1992 Olympic celebrations.
I had an LP of Montserrat, and he, you know, he just wanted to know what I was listening to. Why do you listen to it? What are you listening to? And so he took it into the studio and played it full blast out of the studio monitors. And because Montserrat has this incredible ability to sing very high, very softly, And so he wanted to turn it up as loud as possible to hear her singing softly. And how does she do it? But he turned it up so much that you could hear the chairs of the orchestra moving, them turning the pages, you know, of their manuscript. You know, that was the volume he had it at.
And then we went, when they were doing, we went to Barcelona, with a huge concert in Barcelona. And we had to do some backup singing there. That was great fun, because in that square, it was an amazing place. And the King and Queen of Spain was there, and Montserrat were there, and they did the big Barcelona thing, which is now famous. And that was great, that was good fun. That was really good fun.
Montserrat Caballé was surprised when she worked with him, because she had only ever heard that voice of Freddie's. But when she heard, she made him sing in his normal voice for one of the tracks on the Barcelona album, and it's a natural baritone. But you think of what, you know, the stratospheric notes he comes out with all of Brian's songs, because it's always Brian's songs that have the high notes. Who Wants to Live Forever, Show Must Go On, all of those songs, the Brian songs, Hammer to Fall, and their notes are up there, but Freddie still manages them. Freddie, his voice, actually over the 12 years, it changed, but it gained strength. I think he was able to do more with the voice in the last sort of 3 or 4 years than I heard in the very beginning. It was always a strong voice. He could hit notes that very few nowadays can, and nobody can sing the way he sang. I mean, even in the tribute concert, everybody except George Michael had to bring the songs down a third or something so that they could actually sing it with some sort of feeling. But obviously they couldn't sing his notes.